The real estate sector in India is going through one of its toughest times. Property sales have dipped to alarming numbers across the country. And with each passing day, the confidence gets a bit more shattered. So where have all the buyers gone? Why is a nation whose first love has been property not buying with the same passion now? Well, we can say property prices have risen a lot over the last decade, and that could be one of the reasons. But I do believe the bigger culprit is a crisis of trust amongst buyers. Those who have bought are now facing the brunt of inordinate delays in the project. Projects which have been delivered even after delays have not been up to the promises made. So how do you bring back this trust? How do you get buyers justice? That's the topic that we are going to delve into today and get to the bottom of it all. Dhanendra Kumar, former Chairman Competition Commission of India, joins us. We also have with us in the Delhi studio Gitambar Anand, President CREDAI and CMD ATS Infrastructure, Vivek Kohli, co-founder and senior partner ZS Law, Sudipto Kumar Pal, advocate Supreme Court, and Subhash Mahajan, buyer who has won against a Parsavnath case in recent NCTRC landmark case, as we are calling it today. Now, if you look at what's been happening, and I think we will just focus a little bit on the case first. Builder-buyer agreements have been at the center of debate in the industry, and we have been bringing that to you on the show. The Competition Commission has labelled them abusive and investigated major developers for it. In the latest judgment, the National Consumer Commission has come out sharply against how the penalty clause is drafted in the flat buyer's agreement. A project is delayed by years, the buyer has paid 90%, and yet when he decides to forgo the property out of sheer frustration, all he gets is 2 to 3 lakh rupees as compensation. And I think that is the starting point on seeing what is the redressal forum, how do you restore this confidence. Mr. Mahajan, how long was your battle? I think everybody wants to hear, why did you decide to go the consumer court way? Were there other options in front of you, and how did you choose to go this route?
Manisha, you know, when I booked the flat in 2006 and paid the entire money in 2007, I was thinking that the developer will stand by its agreed date of handing over the possession in 36 months. I myself, being a very senior professional civil engineer, incidentally I retired as chief engineer from Himachal Pradesh State Electricity Board. Okay, sir. And I used to regularly visit the place of construction. And I found nothing was moving so as to complete the project in time. And I started making correspondence with these fellows, telling them that the way you people are working, you are not going to complete the work in time. But they will never respond. So, I mean, you know, I couldn't do anything till the date of possession was over. So, during that period, I just corresponded, bringing about the facts of the site situation, advising them even professionally that, you know, as an engineer, I can tell you, your machinery and equipment, all these things are deficient. Anyway, right. When that period was over, then in 2010, September, October, I started, I'll have to fight a case against them in the consumer forum, because they were just not responding to anything. They were not wanting to meet. They were not giving any appointment. So in 2011, I filed a case in the consumer forum.
Right. All right. Okay. So you took the consumer forum route. Now, if I look at the different modes of redressal that buyers like you have, is consumer courts and of course your decision in perspective, National Commission is a big forum to go to. There are also civil courts that you can go to. Then there is CCI, Buyers New Crusader. There have been recent decisions on 21 realtors. Mr. Dhanendra Kumar, you know, this story put together and the cases that you've seen around, and of course you're also working with the industry very closely. Tell me, why is this huge crisis of trust? Is this a valid crisis of trust? Do you think developers have brought this upon themselves?
Well, I completely agree with you that there is a crisis of trust. And this trust deficit has arisen between the developers and the buyers on account of a number of reasons. The problems exist on both sides. I do agree that developers have been facing problems, which we have tried to address. I was chairing a committee on the streamlining approval procedures for the real estate projects, and we do understand that they have a problem in terms of getting speedy approvals and so on and so forth. Yet the fact remains that individual buyers are generally at the receiving end. They do not have the wherewithal to go to courts, to engage expensive lawyers, and also to fight it out for several years. They have put in their hard-earned money, at times taken loan from the banks, and they are waiting for years and years and years, and the promised flat is nowhere near the site. Even after that, the quality leaves much to be desired. And the terms of agreement in the agreement itself uneven, and at times I have been saying that there are provisions in law that in any unevenly drafted agreement, there is a term called contra proferentum, always against the person who has drafted it. Altogether, I think a lot more needs to be done to bridge the trust deficit in other countries, and we have studied the sector very closely when I was in the Competition Commission, that this kind of a problem doesn't really exist like what we have here on account of a number of reasons. Now, the fact remains that the government is also a very important player in the whole game, and the town and country planning department or whoever is a licensing authority, they have also to make sure that the developers to whom they grant license, they abide by the terms, and they also keep an oversight into the various provisions under which these licenses have been granted. So at times it has been seen, in fact many a times, that the state authorities do not pay adequate attention to this aspect. So this tripartite arrangement, this equilibrium has to be achieved, and at times what happens, a number of clearances which are sought to be given, whether from environment or from the town country planning department and so on, they are not forthcoming for a number of years or months, and the blame for that is given by the developer that it is not coming, therefore we can't start it or we can't complete it.
So you've actually given us both sides of the picture. Gitambar, you must say that Mr. Dhanendra Kumar has been extremely fair. You know, in the process of understanding, and we don't want to have a one-sided debate here, I would like to understand, when a project is launched by a developer, right, you already have certain number of clearances and approvals, and that's why you launched the project. So run us through, what is it that once you have those clearances, you launch the project, when do the delays happen from the developer's side and you can actually hold the developer responsible, and when are those delays beyond his control? Can you just run us through that cycle?
Yeah, so let us assume, like I'll take forward what Mr. Mahajan said. Let us assume that there's a developer who has experience, who's delivered in the past, and who has a bona fide intent of delivering a good product.
Okay.
He gets a permission, a sanction, and he starts his work. So in normal circumstances, he would give a delivery time of say 4 years. Now, that's how it's going forward, because once you get your map sanctioned, you also need permission from the Pollution Board, Environment Board. We as an association have asked the Ministry of Environment and Forest to make that a part of the bylaws. Let the same sanctioning authority which sanctions your Naksha, let them also tell us what to do as far as the MOEF regulations are concerned, and we'll incorporate those things in the project. So you start the project with in right earnest, and you start selling a bit, because today the market, and it's been like that for the last 2 years, you just don't sell everything on day one. So your sales are happening, and you start constructing. Part of that money goes towards construction.
Okay.
And you can also, if you are short of money, you can go to a bank, you can ask for construction finance. Now that is another obstacle in itself, because it's not always, you see there's always a mismatch of money.
Okay, so here's my question. You do not tie up for construction finance before you sell it to the buyer?
You do. But everybody
okay.
does not get construction finance.
But you still launch it?
Yeah,
so at some level you're saying that I have invested in the land money will come from the developer himself? Is that,
absolutely.
Am I correct?
Absolutely.
So I am now hoping that either through the monies which come in from the sale of those flats,
yes,
I should have enough to construct the flat,
yes,
right? And
yes,
in India, all developers take that money upfront?
No, they don't.
Most of them.
No, it's not upfront.
Even before the plinth, I mean, at every level, the buyer is paying.
There is an installment
plan.
There's an installment
yeah,
plan.
And so basically, the money is with the developer. He's already taken the money from me to develop that flat, isn't it?
No, it is progress related.
It's progress related,
Yeah.
but
So as you progress, you get money from your sale. But please, one second.
All right.
Let me
So,
see.
yeah,
You
yeah.
must understand that he does not sell an equivalent amount of the money he may require for construction. It's not necessary that he
That's
sells.
the only mismatch I
That
needed
is the
to understand.
basic mismatch, and so he goes to a bank to ask for money as a loan. Okay, this is the kind of shortfall I have, and maybe I would not need it as I show more progress in my construction. And a lot of them do get that money from the bank. A lot of them don't get that money from the bank.
Okay.
So
and as a buyer, I have no idea who's managed to get the money and who hasn't.
Yes, you have
so
no
if
idea.
the developer hasn't managed to get the bank loan, then I'm stuck.
You're not stuck. I would say there is a small challenge, because if he's able to sell,
Okay.
then there is a good chance that he can start his work with that money, not just for one sale, but let's say if he sold 10% of his stock.
All right.
So he can start his construction with that. The banks are also, you see, for a new developer, there are reservations with the bank also. They don't want to give money to just a new player. So once they see some work happening on the side, the chances are 75% he will get that loan.
All right.
So it's not so bad.
Now you add all these challenges that you've just spoken about. You would give yourself another year for delivering?
Absolutely. I think 4 years is a fair 4
All right.
years.
So let's rest there. Your case, we've understood.
And also the volume of the project. If it's a project which is, say, I would say 1 million square feet, 4 years is a reasonable time.
4 years is a reasonable time. So let's go with that. Sudipta, that doesn't happen, isn't it? 4 years is now almost a dream in NCR or even Mumbai. Some markets, maybe 1.5 years is the delay there, but in NCR especially, 4 years is a dream to get your project. No one will complain if they got their project in 4 years, isn't it?
See, I think what Mr. Anand said and what other panelists have said, I think slowly the buyers have come to understand that unfortunately our market, our supply system is not good enough to get the kind of houses we are requiring. So what they have done is they have stopped booking properties, the end users. Now, all these discussions that's happening, we are slowly proving that they are correct. We don't have the infrastructure, the manpower and the industry backup to really produce those many numbers of apartments every year, which is ready to be moved in. So an end user has no other option but to wait till properties are getting ready. I think what we need to look at is that there has to be more planning even from the developer's side.
From a developer's side.
That
okay.
he need not offer the entire project in one go. Like Mr. Anand said, 1 million square feet property would require 4 years. Why don't you divide it into 4? Take up part 1, part 2, part 3. Allow people to come in, have the common amenities in a manner that these people can come and stay there. See, that's the larger challenge for the state to provide housing for the masses. So I think these are things which are going to come.
What you're saying, Sudipta, is that the industry has bitten far, far more than it can chew.
Precisely.
I think that's the bottom line, and it's coming back to bite them. Vivek, you fought for CREDAI, but you know the legal system inside out. Tell me, despite many landmark cases, there's been CCI which has intervened. There is Mr. Mahajan's case where you've had the National Commission also saying, look, in Parsavnath's case, it was very clear. They didn't even start work. And at the end of it, the reason that they gave in the case that he won was that there was a recession. I'm sorry I started the project in 2006, but I've not even delivered till 2011 because there was a recession. The recession didn't hit us till 2008 end. So he had 2 years to at least get the structure up, which wasn't even there. So put both sides together and tell us, where does a buyer go? What does he do? It seems like the developer has problems. There are government issues and approval issues, but it's ultimately one person alone who suffers with his savings, and that's the buyer. So what is his dispute mechanism or resolution mechanism?
So effectively, Manisha, if you look at it, the relationship is actually in two parts, the equation. The first is between the government and the developer. So all the permissions, all the approvals, whatever has to come from the government and has to come to the developer. That is for the developer to take from the government and the government to give. Really, the consumer has nothing to do with it.
Okay, Vivek, tell me one thing. Do developers take enough permissions and beef themselves up enough before launching the project?
So,
do they do that? Or they're still hedging a lot of the risks? Are they passing them on to the buyer, is my question.
Yes.
So, you have state laws which specifically mandate that no projects will be launched without having complete set of approvals in place.
Okay.
You can't launch a project.
Is that happening?
Yes. No. If a project is launched, then a consumer or a buyer will presume that all the approvals are in place. Because if the approvals are not in place, then my question is that what is the state government doing? If the approvals are not in place and somebody launches the project, then actually it's a default of a state law. The state has to move against the developer and ensure that the law is actually enforced. The consumer ultimately, as I said, in two parts, so it's between the developer and the government, and then the developer and the consumer. Now, the consumer is the one who's actually writing out the check for both the government and the developer. The loss or the damage is only to be incurred by the consumer.
Right.
You see Haryana and UP, every time you advertise, you
have to
write it's been sanctioned by this letter and the license is this letter, so you have to say it.
So if a launch happens, the presumption is that all the approvals are in place.
Okay.
Let's take that forward then. The second thing is, you see, all the judgments which have come.
That brings me to another question, or exactly the same question then. Why are the delays so many?
Yes. Now, if you look at it, the judgments which have come till now, while they are all very, very salutary, and I think they are correct steps, great steps in the evolution of the market, in bringing transparency, in making sure that we are evolving to a mature market. But the fundamental problem is that, consumers are not running a banking service. So when you take money from a consumer and then after 7 years you return it at 12, 16, 18, 20%, he's not running a banking service. He's not lending you money where you are returning it to him. He wanted a house. Deliver the house.
Yes.
Now, the focus should be on how is the delivery of the house going to happen and why is that getting delayed.
Absolutely.
Fundamentally, the question or the answer to this is that monies get diverted. If the monies are not diverted, whatever is collected and is used or deployed towards constructing, what Mr. Anand has just said that 3 years or 4 years is a great time to actually finish a project, you can, provided the money which is collected is deployed for the purpose for which it is collected.
Vivek, hold your thought there. I have to take a very quick break, but I am going to come and ask this question both to Gitambar Anand and Mr. Dhanendra Kumar. How rampant is this? The money is getting diverted, and the real estate regulator bill that had made a provision that the money collected for a certain project should go into the escrow account and be used only for that project. Guess what? All the developers got together, and here I do have that question and I want that answer, and fought with the housing ministry to say construction will come or halt in this country if you don't change this provision. And guess what? The real estate regulator bill is back in the cabinet under consideration, but that has been diluted. Why? How will you get justice? All right, Gitambar's already saying no, but we'll come back and get the answer to that. Stay with us.